this woman was having trouble with a trolley, and I'm like, I can help. I'm ready to do this shit. And I helped her, and she gave me like a tip, like a $5 note, and I'm like, I looked at this note, and I'm like, no way. I didn't just earn money from giving someone a trolley, surely not. So I was like, let me try it again. For 2 days straight, I just sat there in front of the trolleys and went, madam, sir, madam, sir. And I ended up collecting like $100 until the managers came out and was like, look, we love your hustle, but no more. It was very weird experiencing your first ever short film on like an IMAX screen. Like my head was from...
That's cool.
Dude, it was insane. And I'm so glad I got that experience because just seeing that glimpse was like, I need to do that again.
What lessons did you learn looking back on the whole flip out experience?
Don't overload your plate. That's probably the most important thing, even if you have the opportunity to do so. Like, wow, we have enough money to open up another store. We should open up another store. Let's open up another store, guys. Not that our stores were doing well. We just wanted more stores. Come like 18, 19, the debt was born, but I had built enough skill to start actually paying those debts through video. I'm incredibly grateful for that debt because it made me a better filmmaker. Yeah. And then it also gave me enough confidence to start the vlogs on YouTube, which built Thiqa Media. Yeah. If anyone's wondering, by the way, none of these flip outs are standing anymore. No, they're all closed, and they weren't failures, they were lessons.
Over the past few years, my life has completely changed. I've built one of Australia's most successful e-commerce startups, Happy Skin Co., generating over 10 million per year in sales and disrupting $1 billion industry in the process. I've now turned my passion for growth and personal development to bring you these honest and eye-opening conversations. This isn't just a business podcast. This is about the person underneath. This is about the journey. This is what it's really like. I'll be interviewing guests from all walks of life, each with their own unique perspectives and experiences, from the hardest day of their life to the biggest accomplishments and everything in between. My name is Mullan, and this is Life, Money and Love. All right, sweet. We were just chatting for 20 minutes off air, so we thought we better start recording. Today we have Majdi Slaby.
Hello.
AKA Maj. I just call you Maj. I'm going to continue to call you Maj, but that is indeed your name. This is going to be a fun one. I've known Maj for 4 years almost, 4 years.
Even almost 5, I'd say.
Maj he has his own content agency, which I want to talk about, but this isn't so much just about what he's doing right now, his content agency, even though the boys that produce this podcast, like, has Maj done any Happy Skin Co videos? For anyone that is interested in business and e-com, for like the 2 years when we first started to pop off, Maj made pretty much every single one of our ads. So he really knows what he's talking about there. We'll get into a bit of that stuff, but dude, I'm so interested. And when me and like our friend Alira would just talk about you, and you'd come and tell me one of these stories and one of the things, and like Maj is the type of guy that just like life happens to him, like good, bad, like intense, just
that's well.
Fuck, a lot of shit happens to you, man. So I want to talk about all that, what you've learned, your successes, some of your funny failures, and some of the smart decisions and some not. But one thing I want to start at, because I feel like we've spoken about it a little bit, but we haven't really gone in detail. And I want to talk about like your family and kind of when they came over, obviously you're Lebanese. I know you've spent some time living over there as well. Kind of tell me about like your childhood, your family, how like when they all came to Australia, and then we'll move on from there. Yeah,
absolutely, bro. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me, bro. I do appreciate it, and I love seeing this thing grow. It's incredible. Yeah. All right, so where to start? Okay, so dad came over somewhat in the 80s. I think it was somewhere in the 80s, and with any kind of like story that comes about like that, they have a really crappy job, and then one thing leads to another. So, you know, it was very the same with my father. He had a warehouse job, and then I think he had a taxi job for a while. And then he ended up landing on like cigarettes. So like just selling cigarettes. For any Lebanese 90s kids, it's a staple for the parent to have a cigarette shop. Yeah. If your parent doesn't have a cigarette shop, you're not that Lebanese. Come on, let's be honest. But so he came over and did that. Mum then followed. So they got married in Lebanon. She then followed because, you know, it's the 80s and getting here is expensive, and that's a whole thing. And then
that's pretty common though, right? Like for one to go over, make a little bit of money.
And then bring the rest of them over. Yeah, absolutely.
How long was that gap? Do you know?
I think it wouldn't have been too long, but I'll probably say it was probably like 2 years, maybe. Not too long, but long enough to be away from your partner.
You hear like, it was like 8 to 10 years. I'm like,
that's like, imagine that, you know, and especially if there's a kid involved. So my older brother was born in Lebanon. So there was that period there where he was in Lebanon, and then they got, flown over. So and then they essentially just started building from there. My parents are very, repetition is the key to success, right? So it's like if you've got a shop, you've just got to show up every day, do your 12 hours and leave. And I think that, that obviously that still works in today's age, but that's what they did, and they had some more kids.
Yeah.
And so we're 5 of us. There's five children.
Yeah.
It's a family of 7. I'm the youngest. But yeah, the rest of us were born here. The rest of us were born here.
When did you, because you lived over there for like 6 months
Yeah,
or a year, or
so-
what was it?
So the family's here. I've spent 10 years here, and then my dad is just like, let's move. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do that.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, at the time, bro, I actually had discovered acting at like 9 or 10. Believe it or not, I had discovered acting. And I went to this audition. I think it was called like Bright Stars or something like that at the time. It was this really old agency. I went there. It was hella exciting because my cousin at the time was also acting. So that's what inspired me too. And I killed it. And I made whatever I made, and they were like, "We want you." And then my parents were like, "Love it, love it, love it. Let's go to Lebanon. Hey, let's circle back to this in 10 years."
So Ferris was already acting then?
Ferris was already acting, yeah. So he'd already, he did, what was it? I think it was ACTT. It was like the Acting College of Theatre and Television. He did that, or he was in that.
Yeah.
And he was getting his kind of, small TV roles and stuff like that. But
when was Underbelly? What year? Because
goodness, I think that was like
we were
2000.
pretty youngish, right?
Yeah, dude. I was like, I don't even remember, but I think it was like 2000. Like
it was
9
over,
or 10.
yeah,
like,
it was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was sometime in that era. But basically, yeah, so when I turned 10, we all moved back. It was me, my dad, and my sister first, and then my brother and my mum and my other brother followed. And I lived there for 3 years, bro. Went to school there. It was a whole shift.
What was it like living over there? Like, obviously completely different, I imagine, right?
Bro, it was insane. You actually, unfortunately, at that time, if you were someone coming from overseas, specifically from like Australia or the USA, you were known to have money, or you were looked at as that you have money, your family's rich. And that created a massive problem when it came to trying to network and make friends as a kid, because everyone was threatened right off the bat. And like, while dad earned his money and bought the properties he did and like did it right, like it doesn't translate, you go over there, you don't think that of yourself. You're just there to have fun and have a great time. But I kid you not, it was like fight or flight. So, you'd have a group of kids come to you, they'd suss you out, if they don't like you, it's on. It was genuinely on. It was very rough like that. So there was a lot of fighting growing up in Lebanon.
So you all got into like fist fights and stuff? I
fucking survived because of fighting, bro. Literally, if I got into the stories, it's insane, absolutely insane. It was just there was just that you're in a third world country, you've got that language barrier as well. I hadn't even known Arabic at the time. I'd understand words, so half the time I was guessing. But most of the time you'd end up with fist swinging, and I'm like, sick, this is great. But the weirdest thing is, like, if you beat them, you become their friend.
Oh, okay. Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was friends with everybody. I was like, hey man, how are you? So that was a very interesting period, and yeah, man. But growing up in Lebanon was insane. Like, going to high school was insane. There was an English system, there was an Arabic system. I was in the English system. They'd give you like 6 hours of free periods if there was nothing for you to learn sometimes. So you're just fucking wandering about, just trying to get busy. But it was an experience.
Have you seen the French movie La Haine?
No, I haven't.
Bro, you should. I only watched it recently. It's fucking incredible. Dude, I watched it at Dundee. Is like, because they do 35 mil presentations once a month, and it's always like a really cool old school classic. And it's based around, like, there was these big riots, and there's a couple of like Lebanese characters in it, which reminded me of it. There's a couple of there's riots, and like police get stabbed, and someone gets shot and killed and stuff. And it follows the story of like these group of friends over like the space of like 2 days. And the way you're explaining it straight away just took me back to what it is like there.
It is like that, man. Like, it's quite universal, I think, some experiences. You know what I mean? It happens to everyone, and it's the right time, it's the right place. It's going to happen to you. But if I hadn't grown up in Lebanon, I for sure would not. Sorry, let me say that again. If I hadn't grown up in Lebanon, I for sure wouldn't have been where I am. Or I wouldn't even be who I am today. That's 100%.
What did you learn, or what perspective did you gain growing up in Lebanon?
Well, given all the limitations I was up against, the language barriers, the not knowing how to get around, just being a kid in a third world country, just in a different environment, I learned that you do have to fight. Like I feel like I wasn't put in an extreme situation, but as a kid, like, them moving to Lebanon was just it was something massive on my shoulders. I was like, what do you mean I'm moving to Lebanon? Like, I had been once as a kid, and from memory, it was like, it's just all brick and dust,
Yeah.
you know, from memory. It's much more than that. Don't think I'm knocking down Lebanon. I love it. It's actually I love going there for a holiday. It's amazing. But yeah, dude, I realize you really have to fight, you know, literally for me, unfortunately. But, you know, what I really wanted was just friends. I kind of wanted to just be accepted, because it does feel weird not being accepted by a lot of people, and especially when it's done to your face. So, and you know, like, I'm not asking for much. I just want to play like basketball with you guys. I just want to kick the ball on the rocks with you guys. Like, but you know, and I earned that. So I guess for me, it was just like, I know I wanted to be accepted, and I know I wanted to get it. So whatever I kind of had to do to get there, I did. So I was very persistent in that.
So
stage.
do you think those kind of principles you learned or developed kind of helped you with moving into business? And
100%. Yeah, like you know. Actually, let me think about that response. Sorry. Can you ask that question again, if that's okay?
I don't even know what I said. Oh, yeah. So those principles
yeah.
you kind of learned, and that ingrained mentality that you have to fight to get your way through life. Have you fallen back on those in business? Or like, when did you first get into business? You mentioned like you used to have these little hustles you would do when you were younger and stuff.
Absolutely. So like, to answer the first question, 100%, you need all those things to get whatever it is you're going for. Like, you know, even through my business journey, I've had to be persistent to get a lease down cheaper. I've had to be persistent to get a better deal, you know, better than another franchisee, whatever it may be. So, look, so my parents have always been in business. So I grew up in business. Like I said before, tobacco shop. Like, I was serving tobacco to like the security at the Westfields when I was like 9, you know, guessing where the Winfields are, and the, you know, whatever it is that I was looking for. And this is, mind you, it's when Dad had to have a toilet break. So I had that hot 10 minutes of like having to cover the shop. I remember I was going to Woolies. I think I was buying like do you remember those chocolate eggs that you put in the yogurt and you mix it, and I don't know, like a yogo thing.
Yeah.
I was after one of them, and I remember this woman was having trouble with a trolley, and I'm like, I can help. I'm ready to do this shit. Like, you know, she's having trouble. I can help, and I helped her, and she gave me like a tip, like a $5 note, and I'm like, I looked at this note, and I'm like, no way, I didn't just earn money from giving someone a trolley, surely not. So I was like, let me try it again. Yeah. I'd give it again, and I tried it again, and you know, people would say thank you. Some people would bring out $1, some would bring out $2, and I was like, fuck, this is sick. This is making me money. I can go spend it. And Time Zone was upstairs, and that was like my life as a kid, bro. Remember that dance game? Like, my hips were moving at the time. And I think for 2 days straight, I just sat there in front of the trolleys and went, madam, sir, madam, sir. And I ended up probably collecting like $100 until the managers came out and was like, look, we love your hustle, but no more. Stop taking money from our customers.
They should have gave you a woolly shirt.
Throw me a vest or some shit, man. Put me on the payroll. I was killing it. Anyway, that happened. Like, in that moment, I was like, wow, I can generate my own money. Like, that's insane. I never knew this was possible.
This is like 9, 10 years old, you said?
Dude, I'm like, this was before Lebanon. So this was like maybe even 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then, you know those pop-up shops that kind of just sell little games at like supermarkets and stuff? One of those guys popped up in front of my dad's shop, and I'm like, oh, sick. It was like a little remote control helicopter, I think it was. Yeah. And I was like, I just loved the toy. I loved the dude. I was like, let me help. And he basically said, if you can help me sell one, you know, like I'll give you money and I'll give you a toy, right? So I was like, oh, that's a great deal. And I think, you know, you had to fly it. You know, you've got to pre-fly it, test it around, show people.
Oh, so you're like the little kid that's like,
yeah, dude, I'm having a great time. And by the end of it, I think we sold like a few. He gave me like $50 and like a toy. Yeah. And you know, those experiences plus working with Dad, it's like in the shop, obviously, like, because we had that shop for a while, and I worked for a few years there. So you just kind of learn principles of business and stuff like that, customer service, just basic stuff. Yeah. And it's always interesting to see from a person that wasn't born in Australia, like, you know, they develop these really interesting characteristics that you kind of adapt as you see growing up, you know what I mean? But otherwise, from there, you know, lived a pretty, you know, once I came back from Lebanon, like experienced the whole Lebanon thing, came back and essentially got into high school, went to Jameson High School, shout out Jameson High School, of course, and did all the musicals I could ever do. Yeah. And that's what introduced me to acting. So
you got into acting from like drama in school and stuff, right?
That's exactly right.
When did you first like start auditioning or trying to get an agent and doing that sort of stuff?
That only happened once I left school. Like I signed up. I jumped on Star Now right after I left school.
Star Now.
So back in the day,
Star Now
days.
Dude,
back in the day it was like brand new. So it was like the biggest thing, right? So I had done 2 musicals in Jameson High School. I did Fame and I did Grease, and like Have you ever done musicals? Have you ever done like a live play before or anything like that?
I've done a play, but I haven't done a musical.
Like regardless, the thrill is insane.
yeah,
just
yeah.
being on stage is it's just another world.
You know what it is? Being like theatre, and that's the thing, right? I don't think I'd ever want to be a theatre actor. Maybe if there was a really cool play I wanted to be a part of, it'd be an awesome experience.
Yeah.
But that, regardless of that, I love film and television acting. Acting on stage is a truer expression of acting. It's like
100%. Oh, dude, I agree.
It's so fake, bro. When you're acting on camera and you're doing like these little, but like to be focused
in it
for like some scenes alone will go for 20 minutes. Then you're on stage for an hour or 2 hours.
And you have to if depending on the scene, if it's just you and another actor out there, you have to captivate that whole audience for however long it goes. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
that's a lot of pressure. And even like a worse experience than that is actually fucking up on stage, which
Have you ever done that?
Oh, so bad.
Really?
Dude. Okay, so the only tip I could ever give, this is probably the only tip I got from that musical, was the first musical.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was, the actual musical?
The musical's Fame. So I was playing Tyrone, I don't know, rapper turned ballet dancer turned falls in love.
That's perfect.
It was sick. I got to like flip on stage and break dance. It was amazing. The last night we had you know when you get to when you get to the last night of any run, it's just like, let's just have a fucking good time. We've done so much work. We've earned it. Let's have a good time on stage. And I was like, oh, why don't I make it interactive? And I asked the director, I was like, instead of coming out from stage right or whatever it was, can I come through the crowd and high five the crowd? They're gonna love that shit. And he's like,
great idea.
That's fantastic, Matt. You do that. And I'm like, sick, cool. So I'm waiting outside. I've had to run outside the hall, run around. Everyone's inside. I'm waiting out there. It's freezing. I'm freezing my tits off. It's winter. And finally I hear my part and I deliver my first line and I'm high-fiving these people. It's sick. And I don't know why, but I never thought about how I'm going to get onto the stage. So I just went stage left when I was facing it. And when I got to the stage, I had this one line to the teacher and I blanked. I fully went blank. Like I didn't even blink. I just remember it got real hot real quick.
Face red.
I felt this side of my face burning because that's where the crowd was.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like, something happened. Like, just maybe the power turns out here. Maybe just anything, please happen. And the other actress that I was playing with, I forgot her name, but what a lifesaver. She goes, I forgot my line. She goes, that's what I thought. Get in line. And I'm like,
you need other people to save you in that situation, right?
And from there, I was just shitting bricks. And like every time I had to go off stage, I'd look at the script and I'd be like,
bro, that's the worst thing you can do right before an audition or whatever to be looking. Like you just have to trust that you know it. Or you're gonna be fucked
Or
anyway.
just trust that you know how to carry on even if you do.
But that's if you particularly in an audition, well, it's different when you're doing live theatre. People have come to see a show and you got other people. But if you can have an accidental fuck up in an audition or on screen, like that's such a gift, man, because it automatically drops you into absolutely real behaviour.
Yeah,
and if you know to always react in character as a person, it makes the best viewing, man.
Dude, it makes the best viewing, but you know, it's almost easier said than done, right? Sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
You've got to be real deep into acting to really know how to respond when something goes south or when something doesn't go with what the script says. Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, have you ever watched like I know I'm probably going off topic here, but you know when you watch like a BTS and they're like, I remember I watched this BTS of like Leonardo dancing with someone. They were like, yeah, this was all improvised. I'm like, how the fuck do you improvise that? Like there was scenes and shit. I'm like, how do you improvise this whole thing?
There's levels, man.
So professionals, that's why they're professionals.
That's why they get paid.
That's why they get paid the big money and I freeze up on stage.
We had to move into business because couldn't quite crack it in acting.
No, man, but yeah, like acting's still a massive passion of mine. And the great thing about it, as you've seen my whole film side develop. So the fact that I've learned the film aspect, I've got the acting aspect. When it comes to directing, when it comes to just doing anything, I just have so much more knowledge
about every part of it.
Yeah, just to execute it better and better and better. You know,
because I was gonna bring this up later, but let's get into it now while we're talking about it, and then I want to get into the flip out story and how that all started.
Sure.
But talk to me about that rugby documentary that you produced, filmed, whatever. That's pretty big. For anyone's a massive rugby fan listening to this podcast, which I'm sure there's tons.
Gold digger.
It is actually a really big film in the rugby space. Like it's
been getting some incredible reviews.
Yeah,
actually, we just had a piece go viral on YouTube. We just uploaded it as a tester. It got like 150,000 views.
Wow,
we're like,
very
that's
nice.
really cool. So
how did it start? Like when did they? Yeah.
So the director Matt Durrant is my partner in this film. I first met him when I auditioned for a short film called Pocket Money. It was a government funded short film. There was 50 grand behind it. It was a legit thing.
50 grand for a short
50
film.
50 G's for a short film. So Matt Durrant locked in that grant and dude, for a short film, this thing was legit.
Yeah,
So they had
well,
closed
50K.
streets down. It was amazing. Yeah, so it was basically, Matt just had an idea. At the time, 2012, 2013, there was a lot of gun violence in Sydney. So it's a story about a kid essentially running into a third. He was like the third party to a crime. He just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it because it's still a great. We're actually oh my god, how do you say the
Premiering?
word? Premiering it with the doco at the end of the year.
Oh, really?
So yes, I'll explain to you.
Did it go into any festivals at the time?
Oh, it went
yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, I auditioned for this short film, and Matt was directing it. He was writing it. Awesome. I got it. It was a 3-day shoot. It was incredible. Like elite team, left, right, and center.
Where'd you guys film?
Just in Parramatta and Auburn, actually.
Yeah,
and then
cool.
we just did ADR work because there was the budget to do so, so
Yeah.
why not? It was shot on an ARRI Alexa anamorphic lens.
Yeah.
It was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how pretty it was back in the day, but now that I've learnt filmmaking,
You're
I'm
like, wow.
how the fuck did they do this?
Yeah.
Like, this is sick. Anyway, so that short film premiered at the Sydney Film Festival right before, I forgot the actor, but it was right before his film. So a lot of people were anticipating his film.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because we opened up for him. We got a standing ovation. It was sick. It was like,
Nice.
and it was very weird experiencing your first ever short film on like an IMAX screen. Like my head was from...
That's cool.
Dude, it was insane. And I'm so glad I got that experience because just seeing that glimpse was like, I need to do that again. And again, and again, and again. Like, I can never be satisfied with that feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's just a whole nother experience being able to tell a story to an
Yeah,
audience.
bro.
It's a whole nother thing.
Fuck, now you just reminded me of a regret, and I didn't know I had a regret. But I remember one of the short films I did, it was, it played at the Ritz.
Oh,
You know,
awesome.
in Rant, and I didn't fucking go, bro. I don't know
Oh,
why I
okay.
didn't go. No, I was thinking, yeah, that would have been
his own premiere.
that would have been
Too good for his own.
There was some fucking reason, but I don't know. That would have been a cool experience.
Dude, yeah. Any moment you get to go to any premiere, I'm trying to do it, man, because it's just that feeling. But so essentially, we premiered at the Sydney Film Festival, and then it made it to this thing. I don't know if it's called the Travelling Film Festival, but it's essentially the
Rings a
Sydney.
bell.
Yeah, rings a bell. But it basically got picked up by all these major towns and their festivals. So for example, it went to the Canberra Film Festival. It went to Darwin Film Festival. It did the rounds in Australia, and then it went overseas. So it went to I think it was South Korea, like Seoul Film Festival. Then it went to Cannes in France. Like, dude, it did the run, and then it ended up getting sold to a French agency who basically had it on French Airlines for a couple of years. So as one of the short film options, you
cool.
just see my head bobbling about there. So
you speak French, yeah?
no, I don't speak French. Oui, come on, man. No. But
Bonjour.
Bonjour. But basically, yeah, years went by. Matt and I didn't speak. Matt Darren, the director of that short film, and then he hit me up. He's like, dude, I want to do a rugby doco. Are you in? And I was really just getting into the feelers of filming and learning about everything and log and this and that. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. And he's like, dude, we're traveling here. And we
When
did.
was that? When did he first reach out?
So this was right before COVID hit, back in 2019. We flew to Perth. We shot like the first scene, let's say, of the doco, and that was all in Perth. It was all like the backstory of what the doco was about. And then when we flew back to Sydney, we were able to fit maybe a few interviews in, and then he had to fly back to London. And then while we tried to maneuver through COVID, basically the rest of the doco was him directing over Zoom and me just rocking up, shooting,
wow,
trying to face the laptop in a way where it looks like he's in the room for eyeline and basically everything for the rest of the doco.
Okay, fuck, that was a challenge then,
Massive
right?
challenge, yeah. So COVID just made us, go left immediately.
So you were rocking up by yourself to interview all these,
and
like,
you know what the
high
worst thing
figures
is,
in
bro?
rugby?
It's like well-known people. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
it's like people that are in the media that I don't know. Like, I don't know these people,
I don't know,
but I know they're popular.
Important, you know?
Or if not, like if they're not popular now, they were massive in the rugby space back then. And I'm just like Lisa Wilkins's husband, Pete Davidson. Like, first of all, to get to their house, it's too far. Okay, it's too expensive. It's too far. And then just to get in, there's stairs on ramps, and I'm rocking up with gear. Like, it's a doco here, and it's just me. I'm just sitting out.
What's the premise?
Hey, Lisa.
What's the premise of the film? Because it's about some sort of like controversial
Correct,
issue,
yeah.
right?
So the doco's about essentially the downfall of Australian rugby and why other countries have done significantly better and why Australia has not. And
So why has Australia not? What have you? What's your take on it?
Well, I don't want to ruin it, but I think it all comes down to cohesiveness, and essentially what that is, for example, let's make it relative to, because I'm not actually a massive union fan. I never
Yeah.
grew up with you. I grew up
Yeah.
with league. So, but let's
Same.
say, for example, Penrith Panthers. Let's say 10 of their players grew up together. So they played
Yes.
through like local competitions.
Yeah.
They build that cohesiveness over a couple of years where things are just instinctive at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're trying to force a team together from different provinces,
Yeah.
you're going to have a lot of these players clashing and not understanding each other's structure or, just they don't know what the next move is. So, the reason New Zealand dominates in rugby union is because these guys all grew up together.
They live and breathe it.
They live and breathe it, like from grassroots to professional. Like they absolutely
whole
know
country
what the next,
does.
Oh yeah, the whole.
So you know what I
New
mean?
Zealand's just on fire. So and back in 03
Well,
when
Ireland
we won
just
it.
beat New Zealand like a couple of times. Let me just put it.
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
of
there
course,
you go.
yeah. But once again, Ireland has some insane cohesiveness.
Yeah,
So does like
exactly.
Wales and France
Yeah.
and all these people. But that's pretty much. So it's an investigative doco. Is that how you say it? Investigative.
Investigative.
Yeah, so it's an
journalism
investigative
kind of-
journalism doco type of thing where we essentially investigate the problem. What is the core problem?
Yeah.
And you have to watch the doco to find out.
Yeah. Is it out or are you premiering it? What's the
premiered
story?
in South Africa live to a live.
yeah.
It was syndicated on like their ABC essentially, and that was really awesome. So and then Matt actually was able to speak on live television about it and give it some PR behind that, which was cool. New Zealand is buying it. Foxtel has bought it.
Cool.
And
So
it's
it'll be
going
on
to be on
Foxtel.
Binge. Yeah.
Oh, I've got Binge, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
bro. So
sorted.
it's going to be on Binge. It'll be on Foxtel documentaries.
That's epic. Congrats, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But I mean,
When do you reckon? End of the
so
year?
August. So
oh,
this
fucking
month.
soon.
I think this month actually.
Sick.
Dude, it's been so long. I don't know the dates.
Yeah, you've been
anymore.
working on this.
I've given so
mentioned
many.
this to be when we're at that Preston's Happy Skin Co warehouse.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
Sure. Like,
that's
you're
how
talking
long I've
about
been-
this might be.
COVID just,
Yeah,
dude.
you
It
don't
was,
know what's
it was
going
the
on, right?
biggest thing. Yeah, exactly. Like it was. It's been way longer than a normal doco should
Yeah.
have gone for, but. Yeah, dude, I pretty much did the sound on that as well. It was absolutely insane. Like I experienced every like hell that comes with a doco, but I'm glad because it's credibility and we sold it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do anything in terms of selling. It was all Matt, so all
Were
credit to
you
him.
kind of involved in a way like that you knew what he was doing at least? Like, do you have any
Like at what stage?
like with that process? For example, if you were going to make a doco or a film and sell it, do you kind of did you learn a little bit more?
I've
about-
learned so
Yeah,
much. I've
yeah.
learned so much, the whole process. Like I couldn't tell you right now how to break it down, but if I sat down, I'd be able to nail out a structure well enough to sell.
Yeah, that's sick.
And it's just all about like you know what he did? Like it goes down to being persistent. He wanted to create a doco. He called all these big media people that have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
The only credit that he had was like his own feature film and probably Pocket Money, the short film at the time. But he locked every interview in, whether it was interstate.
Yeah.
He locked in. There was a few people he couldn't get, but for the majority, bro, he got
And
them.
these are big people, right?
Yeah, like he got the CEO of Rugby Australia.
Yeah.
How much more higher do you want than the CEO of Australia? Like the CEO of Rugby Australia, sorry.
Yeah.
So, he and I applaud him for that. Like I'm just so astounded by his drive to get it done. And he did. And we went through hell and back for it, but we're still here and it's being
That's
sold
sick.
and it's going to be
Oh, I can't
premiered
wait
to
to
an
watch
Aussie
it.
audience soon.
Yeah,
so.
sick.
And the premiere's in December.
Oh, nice. A proper. Where do you know where it's at?
Resetting, yeah.
No, we
cool.
just-
Yeah, yeah.
Just let
They
them
work.
roll.
If there's missing frames,
No,
build
you
it.
never know, bro. They just put the cameras on me.
I love it,
It's
I
all
love
good.
it. So
No
what
one's
was
ever
your
said.
question?
No one's ever known. I don't even know, bro. Let's move on. Enough about rugby. I
Done.
was just about where's the premiere,
It's probably going to happen somewhere in the city,
In the
but
city,
y'all are all
yeah,
invited.
yeah,
Let's
sick.
make a great night of
bro.
it.
I'll come for sure.
Red carpet,
Oh,
photos,
there you go.
videos, the whole
Sold.
shebang's going to
Done.
happen.
Done, bro. Let's move on. I want to
All
talk about like your official start of your business journey. Was Flip Out your first
Yes.
business? Tell me about, because like for me, yeah, it's fucking sounds like a lot of fun. But how does someone just get into a Flip Out franchise? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so was sick of so it was sick of school. Came,
Yeah.
I think it was year 11. Came to the end of year 11. I was like, do I really want to do this again? Not really.
So you didn't do your 12?
Didn't finish year 12, so I
Nice.
don't even have that high school certificate,
Oh,
y'all.
I don't do
you
much
can
with
do
mine.
stuff without high school certificates.
I don't use mine too often either, bro. Just in case you were wondering.
But basically, it was all timing, dude. Timing is
Yeah.
the most important thing in the world, I think. Like, especially you've got to like action something based on what's happening during that perfect timing. So for me, that timing was I want to leave school. A pop-up arena, a pop-up trampoline park has just popped up. I love flipping. I was like right deep into
Yeah.
parkour at the time. I was
Yeah.
like, what a way to get paid.
Yeah.
Flip, meet people. Anyway, so I went there. I spent probably 12 hours the first day there, just jumping.
Was it a Flip Out?
It was at...
Or was it just like a random pop-up?
It was
thing?
literally so you know how they are like they're built of arenas. So
Yeah.
it was one large arena that that the owner at the time set up in a car park
Oh, okay.
that the
yeah,
Penrith
yeah.
Panthers basically they basically just gave him a piece of shit car park and went,
Do it,
go.
Yeah.
And from there, not that like, I want to say like, I'd like to say that I was a part of it, but really, I really wasn't after a while. But from there, from just that car park, they turned it into a 50 plus international franchise, making $50-60 million
you were there
a
at the
year.
early days
Dude,
of
I was there when they built the thing. So sorry. I was there when they built the thing.
Dude,
like I built the thing.
okay,
Like
yeah.
I was literally part of the construction team at one point. I'm going to Canberra and shit.
Yeah, I remember those.
There was
We'll get to all that.
so wild.
But for anyone who thinks Maj is bullshitting about being into flipping, I probably have 20 plus videos of my phone of you backflipping from all our shits back in the day. So, okay, you're there for the build. You kind of were obviously really into the scene, which made like, if you're that early on, you need to be passionate about what you're doing.
Exactly.
Where did they start opening stores and or locations and because you ended up having like three different franchises?
3 to 4, yeah.
What was your first one?
So basically, so the pop-up happened. My mum and I realized we wanted a franchise. We were like, we want this somewhere else for ourselves. From the moment of dropping $100,000 as a deposit to opening was a year and a half, believe it or not.
So that was it's $100,000 to open a flip out
at
back
the time.
then.
At the time, and that wasn't even the full cost because I had in with the owners. I had a lot of leeway. I had a lot of flex on them. Which whether they knew it or not, like it didn't really matter because either way, like there's absolutely no way you give a bunch of 17-year-olds 4 franchises to run.
You were 17 and you had 4 franchises.
And like dude, I wish this was all recorded. The shit that we experienced, like, so just to basically build some structure to this, my mum and I were like, we want to buy a franchise, a flip out franchise. I got the job immediately because I was just so passionate. He was like, here's a shirt, come back tomorrow. I was doing 12-hour days. I was pretty dumb, but I was doing like 9 to 10-hour days in the day, and then I would do security at night so people don't come and rip the tramps. So I would do security at night from 9 to like 6.
Was that a problem that people tried to?
Bro, like I'm pretty much a professional security guard at this point because the amount of people you got to be like because you're in a little spot. I was in a little spot and people can't see you. So when a group of boys or girls or whoever would come by, you'd be like, "Hey, I'm here, brother. What are you doing?"
And they just run off when they see you.
They'd be like, "Oh my God," and off they go.
What are they trying to steal?
No, they're just trying to bounce.
Oh,
they're just trying to have a good time, and I'm like, "Stop it," because the problem with what. The problem with people jumping is they used to come in. Oh, there's that too.
Yeah.
But it's just they used to damage the tramps.
One
guy came in and sliced 14 tramps once.
Slice.
He just came in and was like, boop, 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 boop. And we were just sitting there all day, bro, in the summer, changing these mats. And as soon as we had a mat open, we'd let a customer in to make money, right? It was insane. So anyway, we did that. We moved the setup from Penrith Panthers car park to the old Ford Sinclair building on Mulgoa Road in Penrith. That thing was absolutely like busy. That's what really made the franchise aspect of the business possible because people came and went, there's 800 people here. We got so busy, we started V8 circuits in our open car park on the side and monster truck rides. Like we couldn't keep up. Like we even bought another arena, put it outside. We built professional like jumps into foam, like into big foam boxes for like scooter and skateboard riders and all that jazz. Anyway, we finally, so like I said, we dropped $100,000 and a year and a half we open our arena in Nowra. So, for the year and a half we were deciding where do we go. And
why Nowra?
So
how'd you get there?
The risk of a lease for a building that you need for a flip out for a trampoline park is huge. It was, in Sydney, it's like $150,000 plus at the time.
Just the lease.
Just the lease minus there was no, there was a lot of other extra expenses. So for us, it's like, well, while we love the idea of the business and while we've seen that it works in a car park outside, how the hell are you going to lay out a whole warehouse, paint it, get all that jazz, and, manage a $150,000 lease or whatever it may be? So we actually went we bought, we dropped our money. We looked at Smithfield. We didn't find anything there. Wetherill Park, we didn't find anything there.
They would have still been pretty expensive though, right?
Huge, yeah. Those were the worst places to first look, actually, because they were the most expensive. We sent our equipment to New Zealand. We looked at places there. It sat at the dock. We spent like $15,000 on expenses just sitting there. And then we brought it back to Wollongong. We found a place in North Wollongong. That fell through. And at that point,
did that
bro,
fall through, do you remember?
I don't know why. There was just a lot of the time we actually just couldn't get rezoning approvals by the DA, by the council, so we couldn't get DAs for it. And like, it's really weird to think, but like, you wouldn't buy a lounge without buying a house to put that lounge in, and that's what we had done. We had bought an arena, but we didn't have a house to put the arena in, and so we just got $100,000 in metal rusting and rusting and rusting. So the location scout for Flip Out at the time was like, mate, listen, and we were hounding. When I say we were hounding him, bro, like my mum's an old Lebanese lady, and when she tries to have a full English conversation with you, you've done something wrong.
Yeah,
And like she came at him multiple, like it was real bad. Like we were like, oh, they've robbed us. Like at one point, we were like 100%.
You'd feel like that,
dude.
man.
I
You
was
just
like,
dropped 100
yeah,
grand.
man. And then I'm running around, I'm opening tweet heads, I'm opening fucking just the most ridiculous locations, and I'd sit there and be like, so how's ours going?
Yeah.
When can that happen? You know what I mean? But I guess the great thing is I saw all these locations and I just took
Were the other ones that were popping up being successful?
Yeah, killing it. Because the whole Flip Out, the whole trampoline park rage was insane. So they were just killing it. And I'm there and I'm seeing the money come in and I'm reporting. And I'm like, when bro?
Are we gonna make our money?
But like I said, the best experience was opening all those stores, building them, because I was the only self-sufficient franchise in the whole organization. I can tell you now, there was no one doing it. Like if something broke, I'd strap that fucker up for 6 months and no one would know about it. Like because anyway, that's the whole thing. But where was I? So we ended up. So the location scout goes, Madge, you're not gonna like it, but we found a place in Nowra. I'm like, give it to me.
Yeah,
give it to me right now. From the moment of that call, we drove down to Nowra, went to Ray White, got the key to the building, opened the building, started cleaning. This is like a 2,500. It's 2,500 in land space and 1,400 in floor area. So we had 1,400 square meters to play with. Huge.
That's massive.
It's like 10 meters. It's like it was 10 meters high. It was insane. 11 days from the moment we got the key, which was April the 14th, we opened up, and it was.
You set that whole place up in 11 days.
We set an arena up in 11 days because no one else would be allowed to set up just an arena and open it. It was just me that they allowed me to do that. And I think a lot of franchisees caught on. They're like, why does this motherfucker have so much special?
What else did they have to do?
Well, who's that? Sorry.
Like you said, only like you could open up with just an arena.
Yeah,
what else? Was
so because I was in a JV with the CEO of Flip Out, my deal. So obviously, I was building my like respect and trust within the
proper sweat equity.
Yes,
man. Like,
and that's
really
why he allowed me to do it, because
he
he knew I could run a store and make it money. And when you learn to flip, you become an asset to performing what we're trying to sell.
Getting people in, right?
And I flipped, bro. Like as you know, I'm not scared to flip. You know what I'm saying? But basically, essentially,
we got to get some videos for this part of him flipping. There's so many videos
cut
for the
to me on the table, just going through the table. But at that point, the deal was we run it, do everything we can to make the money, and when majority of the money's made, he would put in X amount of dollars to buy the next section, which would be the kids arena. So now we can have 30 more patrons in here at the in just extra. A foam pit, wall runners, the whole shebang.
So all that,
That happened over 2 years.
Yeah.
We were like we only had one arena for 9 months. So although we threw our doors up and we had about 300, 400 people come in that first day, I think we probably made like 15, 20 grand cash,
nice.
which was such a great feeling to know, like, even with an arena, we can do it. Like, this is going to work, people got really bored really quick of just having that arena. And so I was stuck just going, when are we going to get all this extra equipment? Like, you're essentially losing the trust of the community.
Who was it up to organize that? Was it you guys?
It was head office, but, we weren't patient enough. We ended up building a whole cafe. Repainted the whole place. We were like, we just got to do something to get people in here. We had already spent our part of the deal, and our part of the deal was the 100 grand. His part of the deal was the rest
Everything
of it.
else.
But like over 3 years, you're setting us up for a real rocky failure here. Anyway, saved up a lot of money, and then my business partner at the time, Maurice, came along. And he had a partner at the time, and he wanted to open in Orange. I set that up for him, and off they went, owning their own franchise in Orange.
So they had their own...
Well, I helped them sell it because I was that in with the company. And I didn't know what I was selling. Like, I could sell you the excitement of having a place. I couldn't tell you about the numbers or the ROI or any of the legal shit or the insurance stuff. I'd be like, this place is great for money. And you should buy one too if you want cash. Like shit like that. But essentially... he was like, I want to do more, because he realized, this is really cool. I guess because I had in, he was like...
Was he finding success in Orange?
Oh, yeah. Orange was real cool. Like, it was the first trampoline park to hit that side of
New South Wales, I shouldn't like laugh when you say like Nowra and stuff, but I know how the whole story went and stuff. But like, if you're in Nowra and you open Flip Out, that's a fucking one of the best things to do. Like, you know what I mean? You build a community around that.
It was insane. I was so proud of it. We were so
100%.
engaged with helping the community. We were doing so many like... We do like a Saturday barbecue every couple of weeks and donate the money to cancer foundations. And actually, I remember the most proudest moment I had was early on. There's a little kid who was battling cancer, stage 4 neuroblastoma, the worst of the worst, and he couldn't be there. He was so sick he couldn't be there. But bro, Nara turned up, bro. They raised so much money for this kid. We put on a live flipping show for him. He watched it through FaceTime.
That's beautiful.
It's those moments you can be like, it's not even money anymore. It's not even passion. It's putting the focus on someone else. And it was just the coolest thing ever. And we were obviously in the newspaper for it. And I think that's what really set our foundation. But when the equipment started rocking up, so like in 2016, essentially, when the equipment started rocking up, that's when I really started to understand the business model of Flip Out. And from there, I went, cool, I need X amount of dollars to buy an arena. Let's take this motherfucker to Bathurst. And we did. We bought another arena, Maurice and I, because we had partnered up at the time. After he did Orange, we sent it to Bathurst, and we just opened it up one summer and ran it. And then we were like,
where did you run it for him in
Just
Bathurst?
in a showground. And, and we
rented.
rented.
Undercover, not covered?
No, not covered. It was outdoor. So Bathurst
What do
had
you do
nothing.
when it rains? You just put covers over it?
Jump and slip and slide.
Okay.
Dude, get the party going. Who gives a fuck? Just have a good time, damn it.
Was that legal? With
Probably
insurance?
not. Who gives a shit? Like, let's just do it, right? Like, it's way more funner, 100%. But, like, you know, if you're asking...
But this is like two 18-year-old kids running a business, you know?
Well, how old is Maurice? He's probably like a couple of years older than me. But when we opened... Bathurst, I think I was like 18 at the time. So I think I just turned 18. But anyway, we ran a successful summer campaign. And it gave us enough money to take our setup and move to Bundaberg.
You made your money back from
We made the arena money back like that.
Perfect.
And then we're like, well, shit, we can't just store this thing. It's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
What other town reflects Orange, reflects Nara that we can just send this thing up to, get a cheap lease, and off it goes? And we found Bundaberg.
Yeah.
And
How much gear is like a full truck's worth of stuff?
So a whole arena will fit in a 40-foot container.
Oh, okay.
So it's metal springs, pads, and trampoline
you got
mats.
everything's
It's not much.
unassembled.
You
right?
just got to Tetris the shit out of it. And I always had the job of being at the back of the container,
then you
bro.
gotta
Do you know
try
how many
and
spiders are in the back of that thing? Like, because this stuff was coming from like overseas.
Yeah.
You don't know what spiders these are. These are international spiders. These are international spiders, bro, crawling on me, and I'm sweating bullets. Anyway. We picked up our setup, we went to Bundaberg, and we just built another store. And we went...
You had a lease there?
Yep, got a lease. We told the head office, we were like, can we have the license for Bundaberg, please? They're like, yeah, we're going to have to ask you questions. We have no time for questions. We're in Bundaberg right now. We're building it right now. We need the fucking license.
What question? Why did you need a license? Why did you need
it's
them?
a franchise, right? So
but why didn't you make it Major's flipping center,
because we still had contracts with them, you know? While that's a fantastic idea, it's incredibly hard to... Like, they built a franchise model quick, so they had the best of the best franchising this thing and making it bulletproof. So if any franchisee wanted to try and F the company over, good luck. You know, you could try, you could do it overseas and you can get away with, making the money for yourself for a year, which happens so many times. But anyway, we went and set up in Bundaberg, 6 weeks. We had 6 weeks to set this mother up, and we were knocking down walls, and I became construction man. If you need anything built in here, just let me know.
I remember talking to you, and like I'd be FaceTime you, and you'd literally have one of those like cutting
Dude,
steel
I'm welding,
masks
bro.
on welding.
I learned how to weld because it's too expensive to hire welders in a small business. So let's figure it out.
Do it all yourself,
Did it all ourselves. So we went to Bundaberg. We actually brought, funny enough that you say that about the welding, we brought a welder to us in Bundaberg. He was a Flip Out employee in Port Macquarie. Picked him up on the way. And we were like, we're going to need you for a little bit. Come on down. Anyway, did Bundaberg. That was pumping. So now I had Nara. We moved Bathurst to Bundaberg. And I started acting school. This is where I started acting school. I started acting school for a while, and we just kept on generating and just kept collecting as much money as we could, and whatnot. And then we went, so I think a year went by. So I think it's like 2017, maybe 18. We're like, wow, we have enough money to open up another store. We should open up another store. Let's open up another store, guys. We should really do this. Not that our stores were doing well. We just wanted more stores because it was just like, once again, who gives these young guys? It was incredible. Like, it became very weird managing three different stores, X amount of different employees, X amount of different problems, X amount of different... But it teaches you management skills, that's for sure. Like, I can absolutely... If anyone's wondering, by the way, none of these flip outs are standing anymore. No, they're all closed. And they weren't failures, they were lessons. That's what I had to tell myself a lot.
At what point did it start to, like, turn sour? Because I know by the time that you had started your, like, content agency, those became a bit of a drag on you and stuff,
So Icon
right?
was created based on debt. We had so much debt through the 3 stores. So I was like, we need another way to make money because these aren't working as much as we tried. If you're not putting money into it, it just wasn't going to work.
Why do you think it failed? Yeah, because you didn't have a lot of money to reinvest?
Well, I think so. Like I said, I think that if we opened up initially as a full blown set out in Nowra, I think we would have had longevity success because we just offered everything there and then. And when we're offering things there and then, there's a lot of marketing that goes into that, and you can start marketing and cross marketing all your products and stuff like that. But Nowra was actually doing hella well. Yeah, believe it or not, my first store was always the one doing well. And I guess like when your heart's in something, it's gonna do well. Yeah. If your heart's not in something and you're there for the money, it's not gonna do well. So unfortunately, Bundaberg found difficulty maybe a year and a half on. Rockhampton was a shit show from the fucking start, dude. It was like an action movie. I kid you not.
What happened? Because I remember you driving trucks up and down the eastern seaboard.
Do we have time for this story?
Yeah,
I'll quickly circle back. But basically, we had opened Rocky. Once again, just the arena, right? It was a setup to it.
You hadn't learned yet? You hadn't learned
I hadn't learned any. We didn't have enough money to really fund the thing. So built it, got a shitty lease. This building was bad. This building had holes and it leaked, and it looked like an old aeroplane. What are they called? Hangar, but like rusty, super rusty. Anyway, things weren't going well. For X, Y, and Z reasons. And we were like, best to get out now. Like real best time to get out now. So we called it among our friends of Rockhampton and we went, hey, we need to close for whatever reasons. And I think like 50 people rocked up. We stripped that thing that night, drove to Bundaberg, 3.5 hours, hit a kangaroo on the way. Very, very fun. Dumped everything.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Bro, it almost ended up next to me. We hit this thing so hard.
Yeah, bro.
But it was a blessing in disguise. Can I tell you why? We got to Bundaberg. We empty it out. Yeah. I think later in the night, our third business partner goes, the landlord is trying to lock the gates because we hadn't paid or whatever the reason was. Whatever.
We hadn't paid, but whatever.
Let's cut that part out. We hadn't paid. I didn't have enough money for this shit. I was just learning,
Is this the Rockhampton one? Or?
This is Rocky. And then we go, okay, we've had our nap. We get it back. Better get back up and go back to Rocky. So we go to Rocky.
Had you got the gear out yet or no?
We had emptied the first truck and the 40-footer followed. So we had emptied 2 trucks. Because there was a lot of shit. By the time we closed, we had everything, just FYI. We had already like the structure of the foam pit and shit like that. But basically, when we came back, the landlord came and locked the gates in front of our eyes. She changed the lock. I once heard this rule, like if you're obviously like in debt with like a lease, they can lock your shit in and as an asset to sell it, to essentially pay off your debt. But we were still in there, and so were other people. And we're like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway,
You're still inside.
We're still inside grinding and cutting and collecting springs and sweeping. Like we're trying to pack. We're trying to get out of there. Yeah. We're not trying to leave it and, we're trying to sort our shit out.
So did they want to lock your stuff in there to get some value?
I'd imagine so. Yeah. So it was like me, Maurice at the time, 1 or 2 other people, and we're like, well, there's nothing more valuable here other than metal. There's not much they can do. We've got everything. And they locked us in. Because we're busy, cutting and grinding and there's music playing. By the time we came out, we saw that she's at the front taking photos. She's locked the gate. I'm like, this fucking bitch. And then we got in our car, we loaded the 40-foot container up, and we just drove through the gate. Because we didn't have to come back to Rockhampton. So we and it was great because the thing was already damaged because of the kangaroo, so it didn't look like, I don't think I'm dumb enough to just smash the gate and cause damage to the truck, but R.I.P. kangaroo put us in the lead.
See what I mean? You're how old by this point? You're like...
I'm like maybe 20.
How much shit you went through at 19, 20? Bro, I can't believe you're still standing, honestly, half the time.
It might not be, bro. People could be after me. I don't know. But yeah, so that was an experience. And in the meantime, doing all that, we did a clothing label. We broke even on that. We were just trying shit. We were like, what works, Yeah. And then Icon was born because of debt. And I guess that relationship fizzled out a little, and I started Thiqa Media.
What lessons did you learn looking back on the whole flip out experience?
Don't overload your plate. That's probably the most important thing, even if you have the opportunity to do so. And I actually recently recreated that same problem in my new business. I overloaded and it went. Yeah, it just never works, especially when it's a service-based business. Because that stuff that takes hours. That takes thinking. It's not something you can just get done. You know what I mean? Everything has to be done. Like it's tailored, bro. Every business is different. So you're genuinely spending time on every person's problem, and you're going, how can I solve this problem through video content or whatever it may be? So, yeah, it's a just don't overload. I think.
Do you think if instead of opening like 3-4 different locations, if you'd use that money to make one epic park, Like, you think it would have been any different, or
Yeah, I mean, nah, not with Flip Out. I think if I still had the passion to be in the recreational industry, I would have loved to do my own park with my own rules.
Yeah.
Not having to pay royalties through the roof and marketing fees and
Did you have a non-compete? Like, if you signed a thing with Flip Out,
no,
you
not
can't-
compete.
yeah.
Dude, it ended like it just ended, didn't it? Like
Yeah.
I didn't have to go in to
Did
sign
you have any
documents.
beef with them?
So much beef.
Yeah.
So much beef we could cook. Let's cook. Like it's
Yeah.
so much, bro. Like I had the original CEO tried to sue me. Or he did sue me. And then I had the new owners sue me. You know, it's so funny. And it's for something they couldn't even, like, they were trying to sue me for not paying royalties. Like, but my contract stipulated that I could only pay X amount of royalties. So it was in writing.
Yeah.
And they can't, like, you know, even though the problem is they made it so hard for anyone to get out, it was very hard for them to fuck it too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, yeah, bro, like, and it's very disturbing. Yeah, it's very weird. It's a very weird sensation being like 20, getting a legal,
Like getting sued.
like, paper going, this person is suing you for this. And I'm like, oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. So
Maybe should have finished year 12.
that high school certificate come in handy right now, damn. But you know, in terms of, I learned so much through Flip Out, bro. And if I didn't experience it, I would give no value here. Like I wouldn't know what to say because I wouldn't have experienced anything. So my like teenage years, my early adulthood years were just grinding.
How was your mum through that whole process? Stressing out? Or?
Best friend, she's my business partner, and we experienced everything with each other. She's a beast, bro.
Yeah.
She's an absolute beast, even at flipping, believe it or not.
No way.
Look, she can do a roly poly here and there, but it's pretty good.
She taught you everything you know.
Yeah, taught me everything I know, man. But no, look, we ended up closing. I don't know if you know why we closed. I'm sure you know. We closed Narrow because of the fires.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember you running down there.
Yeah,
and
dude.
it's like, dude, this fire's like 5 minutes away.
My friend was with me from overseas, Imi, she's from England, and she was here, and she was staying with me, and we woke, so I opened up one day, and it was hot.
Oh, bro, I remember there's like flaming leaves in front of your thing.
It was, yeah, exactly, like, it was, like, we knew the fires were about,
Yeah.
but we didn't know how close,
This is
how
the really
intense.
bad year of
This
fires,
is
like
20.
2-3
This is
years ago.
31st of December 2020. Sorry.
Oh, not even 2 years ago. Yeah.
Not even 2 years ago. So 31st of December 2020, I opened up the doors for the first half of the day because I know I was going to go down to Sydney for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
That was a given.
Yeah.
And I open up, and a family rocks up, and they pay for an hour, and I'm up there with them. I think I go to take a call. I look back, bro, gone. I'm like, where have they gone? Have they like snuck up to the offices? I'm looking for them. I look out in the car park. Gone. There's no car. And I'm like, what happened? Did I do something? I walk up to the front gates, bro. I turn around. Hell is coming over Nowra, bro. The black and red flames have just engulfed the back of the kind of the industrial area that we were at. Bro, it looked like a mouth closing up, and I'm like, that's why they left. Yeah, safety. I forgot about that. So I closed the gates. I put the roller doors down, and I've got this image. I'll send it to you guys if you want to add it in. But like regional folks, they know shit about fires. They know a thing or two about fires. I think I was regional enough to copy, but not look like a classic regional person.
You didn't have a proper plan.
I didn't even have a proper hose because what happened was this guy had his fire extinguisher hose out and he's watering his building.
So you stayed to defend the building?
I was ready, bro. I was ready to fight, right? So I'm spraying. I see the guy spraying, and I'm like, oh, good idea.
Yeah.
His building's way lower than us, so
Yeah.
he could reach the top. I got a goddamn garden hose without the filter on top.
No.
I have to put my finger in the thing, and I'm standing there on this rendered wall, and you just see the wall get wet. And if a fire came, it wouldn't have done anything. That's how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
I think when I watched the footage, I was like, damn, that's dumb.
That's so
how did
dumb,
I think
man.
that
You
was
should
gonna
have just
work?
realistically. You should have just left, man.
I did. I ended up leaving.
Yeah,
because
good.
it was like I said, it was New Year's Eve, so I was like, let's get out of here.
Did it get destroyed, or you were lucky?
No. It didn't get destroyed. It was fine, but like it just dried out business so bad that there was no recovery from
Yeah.
it. There's no way you could recover unless you had 100 G's to drop. No one had money. People were stranded. People were stranded for weeks, bro. So it was a great time to close.
How did you wrap it all up? Did you sell all the gear, kind of try and settle as many debts as you could? or?
So basically, we liquidated it.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just
yeah.
went. Like I'm not going
At
to
this
sit there and start
point?
selling metal
Yeah.
and springs and mats. I just don't have the time for it. And I think my time in Nowra came to an end. So every day I was there closing it, I was just going a little bit mad because I knew I
Yeah.
could have this big film production happening in Sydney,
Yeah.
and I'm
Because you
building
lived
that.
in Nowra for a bit when you were there,
7
right?
years. 7 years. Yeah.
Wow.
But I had started, like I said,
You were
Icon
up
there.
here. So you started Icon down
Well,
there.
as you know, I used to drive to Happy
Every-
Skin Co.
every-
Every shoot with my computer, or like
Yeah.
I'd rock up with my computer, or
Everything.
all the gear, bro. And that's 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were passionate about whatever we did, bro.
And at what point did you buy that Merc? Because that was another
Goodness
bit of a-
gracious, the Merc.
This is a.
That's my
I mean,
nightmare.
This is like. I feel like not that he did anything bad or that a lot of people don't do, but this is a very relatable lesson that I see a lot of people kind of get in the habit of. They make a bit of money and they think it's just always going to be this easy, maybe to make money.
Yeah,
and at a young age, you buy a expensive brand new Mercedes.
Yeah.
So tell me your
What an
experience
idiot!
with this.
Whoever would do
Whoever
that.
did
That's
that.
so dumb, Madge. Dude. Yeah. When you're getting like 3 different pay slips from 3 different flip outs, and you know you can see growth. And like I said,
Yeah.
I started acting at that period where we had 2 to 3 stores.
Yeah.
And like as a young adult, I'd never had so much savings. And by the way, it's not much savings.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
but
not
like-
huge, but it was great. Like it was
Yeah.
good for a 20-year-old. And I'm like, well, we've got enough businesses. Surely we could buy 2
A couple of Mercedes.
on one of the businesses.
Yeah.
Which one's performing well enough to take this dumb debt? And we did. We bought 2 C200 convertible Mercedes. And look, while I did regret it,
Yeah.
it was a very fun time.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I want to say don't go out and buy dumb shit.
Mm.
Don't go out and buy dumb shit, but maybe go like rent a nice car for a
Yeah,
day.
to get that
Like don't
feeling.
go blow 130 grand on a car. Go and rent it for a G. You know, while that's a lot of money, it's not much when you're comparing it to, you know, 140 grand and you're personally liable. Mercedes is so good, bright coming after you, and you miss
Yeah, I betcha. What did that give for you though? Like you kind of, what you touched on is kind of like this visualization, law of attraction. But like if you're driving this car, it makes you think, okay, I
100%.
need it. Yeah.
There was a lot of things that happened when I drove that car. There was a lot of feelings I felt. There was a lot
Yeah.
of thoughts I had. And at the time, because we were working with you guys a lot, and you were really just kind of getting into everything that you're into now, you know? And I think once you kind of have that material around you, yeah, I think you give yourself a different perspective, and you start, there's much more confidence in that perspective,
Yeah.
you know? Like, oh, cool. I'm in this nice car. I'm driving down the coast. Not many people can have the
Yeah.
opportunity to drive down the coast. A lot of things. I became more grateful for a lot of things. Like it's when you have something really cool, like a car like that. I became grateful for a lot of little things that I never used to.
Oh, really?
So that's
Yeah,
one thing that
yeah.
did work, because I knew it wasn't going to last forever, and I better get used to being grateful for even the simplest of stuff. Even if I don't have this thing. So
Yeah.
it taught me that. But yeah, it gave me so much confidence. And it just says confidence is everything. It doesn't work with girls. A lot of old men will ask how that car is and drives. So don't expect to pick up women
Yeah.
when you buy Mercedes. That's a hot tip from Madge.
Yeah. Another thing that I not that I do on purpose, but like I try now, like I don't really buy designer clothes.
Nah.
It's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
But the thing that and maybe this
I
is
love
something
how I
that
looked straight at your shirt. I was like, is that designer? What is
No,
that? Let me get a
this
good...
is thrifted from one of the vintage stores in Newtown, man.
What's he wearing there?
I've gone all the way the other way, bro.
expensive.
I hardly buy new clothes, man.
Because you went through a period where you were
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like decked out with some of the most incredible wear I've ever seen.
I bought like 3 pairs of Gucci shoes in like a couple
That's all you
like
need.
in like a month. And anyway, but the point, like why, and like if you don't have a lot of money, like please do not go and fucking buy Gucci or Louis or any of that sort of stuff. But when I was doing it, like it would do something to me, like it gave me some sort of energy in a way. It wasn't the t-shirt or the shoes, whatever I took home, but it was the experience being in there. And like, it's kind of like that, a small taste of like, oh, you know, that saying, oh, this is how the other side
Yeah,
live.
I get you.
And like how well you're treated by their staff and like their customer service is amazing. And just maybe go in there if you don't really have the money to buy that stuff now, go in there, act like you do, you know, dress well, let them, you know, bring you everything, let them give you a coffee or a water and just experience that. And it's a really cool, like, anchoring or visualization tool. Like, okay, I remember how that feels. So now I'm going to go and live and believe that I can buy all this stuff. You know what I mean?
I 100% agree with you. I think, and to add on to that, like the Mercedes gave me a lifestyle. I think that's what it was. I started seeing that I could live this really cool kind of lifestyle. So yeah, it elevated a lot of experiences for me in that sense. And like even before the Mercedes, like I'd go and take a car for a test drive that I obviously couldn't afford, but it's just to get that taste of like what it could be.
It's motivating, right?
It's motivating, and it's like, it's whether you like that stuff or not, it doesn't matter. It's like whatever gives you that drive, that little kick in the ass to go,
Whatever it is.
I want more of that, you know? And it could be cars, it could be clothing, it could be traveling, whatever it is for you, just try and try and give yourself that taste of that future that you could have?
Yeah, I think it's for me, traveling, I think is the biggest thing. But like for me, travel,
Did you go to? When was the last time you traveled? Was it when you went to LA?
yeah. I haven't been
Really?
overseas since like early February 2020. Like I was in New York. Was with the Gary V thing, and then I went to
that's
LA
right.
after that.
Yeah.
And I haven't been away since. I think I'm going to go to London in a few
Ooh,
months.
That's gonna be lovely.
But yeah, traveling for me is kind of the thing that like to put myself in a position where I can travel wherever I want and whenever I want. That's gonna light me up. You know what I mean? Like that's for me is one of the biggest things.
Just having that freedom.
Yeah, the freedom. Now you mentioned before, which I didn't really like. Icon was built out of debt.
Yes.
Okay, did you already have these skills of editing and video, like and taking video, or how did that? Like, when did you start taking it seriously as a business?
So Icon Media Co., which was my first video production business, it was built out of debt, and the reason I say that is because of all these flip outs, you know, because they weren't making enough money. Essentially, debt started coming about, and we had to start paying for them. So, I was already interested in filmmaking. Like I said, acting. Like even when I was in Lebanon, I was before Lebanon, I was acting. So I was always interested in the creative world. I only really started playing with cameras at 15. From 15 to like 17. Is when I really picked it up, and then come like 18, 19, the debt was born, but I had built enough skill to start actually paying those debts through video. But my whole like commercial side of video started in Rocky. Like, so when we were doing that flip out up there, you know, I tried to use my skills as best as I can to market the store, and it worked. But I had a lot of clients just up there throwing money at me to help them do whatever it was they were after. But yeah, dude, like, I know it's weird to say it was built out of debt, but I'm incredibly grateful. Like even then, like I even did 100 days of YouTube. So
you did,
yeah, so it's actually very funny. All these things I'm saying kind of align in the same period. That's why it's a little bit like disastrous. But I did 100 days of vlogging at the same time I had Rocky, Bundaberg, and Nara. At the same time I was doing not at the same time I was doing Happy Skin Co. It was probably just before. I wrapped up just before. But I was still doing other client work. So I had the client work to work on. I had my vlogs to edit every day and post. Then I had to travel and still keep all that, you know, maintenance up. So I'm incredibly grateful for that debt because it made me I'm incredibly grateful for that debt because it made me a better filmmaker. Yeah. And then it also gave me enough confidence to start the vlogs on YouTube, which built Thiqa Media.
Yeah. What inspires you?
That's a great question. Like a little bit of everything and anything. I can feel inspiration anywhere. It could be a song. It could be an image. It could be a scene out of a movie. You know, it could be. I'm a very energetic person, as you know. So I think I react off energy a lot. And things have to a lot of things have to align for me to be inspired. But the more I can kind of work my lifestyle, the more those alignments happen
to create those moments. For
yeah,
you to
exactly.
Keep you,
so. I dude, like you're inspiring. Like what you're doing is insane. Like I've already thought of a really cool. Like I wanted to do this idea where it was like, it's like a bit of a talk show host type thing, but it's like the inspiration came from this room.
Yeah,
like that's the
cool.
insane thing about it, you know. So it can come in any way, and it comes in any form.
We still need to make that short film, bro. I've got those screenshots.
I know, bro.
Man, let me tell you, we have the best short film idea.
I still remember it, bro. I still remember it.
I've got this. I've literally got the photos of that whiteboard where we storyboarded everything.
Oh my god! Well, we were at it was your cousin's wedding.
Yes.
Yeah, and there was a fire pit, and
it kind of went off the back to like the woods.
Do you remember that video that I made? Yeah, it was off that. So Dylan and I have been wanting to do a short film for years now. We haven't done it. Right, whatever. Yeah. But it's a very intense short film, and to be honest, I think it's competition worthy.
Yeah.
I think it can cycle around.
I think so. If we execute it the way we spoke about it, absolutely.
But I'm glad we didn't do it then because
you know
how good it would be now.
Yeah, so much better now.
It's so insane.
Yeah,
but you know, the idea of the short film came about where Dylan walked by a fireplace, and I went, "Oh, that looks good. Yeah, go back."
Yeah, and then we filmed it.
We filmed it. I edited it with some intense music.
And just like, I don't know what, the just created this mood. Worked. And it was like this 5-second clip of me walking up from the bushes with like a coat. Bro, remember how fucking cold it was?
Dude, it was the worst.
This is in like Razorback, which is like.
I completely forgot how cold it was.
It was like out past like.
That shit hurt the bones.
That was, dude, we were freezing to the bone.
Yeah, dude, it was really, really cold.
Yeah, and then we watched this like 5-second clip, and it's like made us like, let's write a short film.
Yeah, it did. And the
from this
thing is,
one
it is
clip.
written. Like, we still can do it.
We can do it. We've got it
You
on
know?
storyboard. 100%. Like that's one of the things you were just talking about before. Is a risk. And it's the same thing for me, where I don't think I could live any other way. I love it, but being aware of it and making sure it doesn't affect negatively.
Yeah.
Taking on too many things.
Yes.
Because I have so much energy. I'm so excited as well. And like, I think probably if I look at my life, I can probably go really hard on 3 projects.
Sure.
But sometimes I'm trying to work on 5. And then when I'm trying to work on 5, I notice they all start to suffer. So the last the last year has been about like, obviously I have the podcast and another thing I'm working on. So there's new things coming, but then like saying no to a lot of the other things that I started getting myself into.
Well, can I ask you a question? Do you find it hard to say no to things?
Yes and no.
Especially if they interest you, you know, but you just, you know?
Yes and no. 2 years ago, yeah, big time.
Sure.
And because I just wanted to do everything, but then I had to go through it and then being realistic and looking what happens when I try. Like I've tried. I've tried to do every single thing.
Yeah.
And you just can't do it.
Yeah.
So now it's like I realize everything you say, like there's a thing like people say yes as much as you can, which is great. But when you're in my position, say yes as much as you can. But then every time you're saying yes to something, it means you're actually saying no to something else.
Absolutely.
And I just couldn't, I was spreading myself too thin. So I had to start culling certain things or like kind of backing out of things. But that short film, man, that's something I want to do for me, not to make money.
It's not
so for sure, we'll do it, man. Like,
should we make it official on here that we
sign the contracts, bro? Get the flip out lawyers. Get the flip out lawyers. There's no
Guys, I
backing
need a
out.
contract signed. We can't get out of this. I think we should make it official.
We should do it.
Set a date for production at least,
dude.
just to know that we're in production.
It really, as a small side project, until we get up, like as it's like approaching like a shoot date and stuff, it wouldn't really take that much time.
Not at all. And you don't want it to take a long time.
No.
Because you just get too drained from it.
Yeah.
A 2-day shoot max.
Yeah.
You know, or a 2-night shoot based on the idea we have. That's pretty wild.
You'll all see. It'll be my big return to acting.
It'll be in theaters next year.
2024. it's gonna release up against Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Bro, I'm so keen for that. Anyway, let's move on before we finish. On talk about Thiqa Media. You said now again. How did we start working with you at Happy Skin? Like, did you kind of know George? Was it through George at the start?
Yeah, we went to the same acting school.
I was there as well. Do you go Pulse as well?
That's right. You did go to the Pulse.
No,
didn't you?
yeah.
Why didn't I see you? But you were advanced.
I was pretty. You know, you guys.
I wasn't good enough.
Yeah,
legitimately.
In other words, yeah, like not your words. No.
I was a beginner. I did the 9-week program.
Really, like it was just how long you'd been there.
No, exactly. Like even George, like I barely ran into him. Like I barely. Actually, the one time I ran into him was at a zebra crossing. And I think because he had quite a popular following then, and he had done a lot of funny videos.
You know what, dude? I was showing them George's old videos literally last week when we were driving back from meeting.
I actually did a video off one of his junkie character videos the other day. Did you see that? Have you seen that one?
Oh no, you made a video of it.
I made a video the other day, literally off it. You know, I'll have to show you. It's dumb as fuck. But where was I? Yeah, so you guys were pumping and you guys were after content and I saw George make a status on Facebook. So obviously I was friends with him.
This is like really early on though. We didn't.
So early on. You would have just moved out of whoever's house it was.
Yeah, George's house.
George's house, yes. You would have just signed the lease on that Preston's place.
Yeah.
He made the status. I think I inboxed him. I was friends with him because of acting, obviously. And I shared my shit, I assume, so he would have seen the stuff that I did. Yeah. And yeah, bro, that first shoot with all the models and the horrific lighting.
Oh my God.
If you guys saw it, you'd kick me out. You'd be like, don't ever film again.
Hey, those videos made us money, man.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
They made us a lot of money.
You know what I'm really proud of? Like, once we started shooting more with each other, I think because...
we learnt so much, right?
Yeah, but do you remember that video that got stolen 10 billion times?
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that we created a trend at one point in the ad world and everyone copied.
Everyone started copying that style.
But it was disturbing to the point of how much they copied. It was everything. I'm talking camera angles and like the actress doing something.
It wasn't like at first they were stealing our content. Then they were doing absolutely everything they could to replicate a Happy Skin Co ad. And it was different, like different people, like they actually did it. It was just everyone tried to copy it to a T.
Can I ask you something? How many letters did your lawyer send out in that period of time? Because I remember that period of time was it was like you were getting like an absurd amount of reports every day.
Yeah. But, honestly, I couldn't even. There were takedowns every day, multiple. Letters from a lawyer probably only got that far, maybe 10, 20 times.
That's still a
But
lot
actual
of times.
takedown requests, like these, what are they called from Shopify or Google,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
every single day, 2, 3, 4.
That's
But
insane.
we ended up like, we had to sue someone, bro, as well, and then settled.
See, I'm proud. You see, coming from a background of people suing me, it's glad that I can make a piece of content.
I know.
But that was great. Like, it was incredible to see that we've literally made a formula that worked and kept on working.
For like 2 years, like everyone copied
a while,
it until the latest kind of change with advertising for e-com. It's all UGC, very like it's predominant. Or we went from actually the style we had with your videos, and then we had a year that we went like really high production value, like the 3D stuff, the motion.
I remember
that killed it for a while.
That was a busy period for me.
That was busy. Even. And then now it's like all UGC and stuff.
Yeah. I remember that when you guys hired that company and they did that 3D stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know how many videos I used to give you per request? That you'd request like, oh, I need fucking 10 for New Zealand and 10 for Australia. And I'm sending you 30 videos at this point, which is, by the way, all on that hard drive. So good luck going through it. But dude, it was such an incredible experience working with you guys early on. And it's been so cool to see you guys develop and just do different things. But
it's night and day to where we went before.
Oh, night and day,
business. And do you remember 100%. How we used to unload the shoots?
Oh, what do you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just got dodgy.
It was so dodgy, man. This reminds me of it sounds like almost like a flip out thing.
Yeah.
So we had at our first Happy Skin Co warehouse, we had a mezzanine throughout, so it was split level, 2 level. But the roller door went all the way up.
Yep.
So the roller door went all the way up, and we had this big room towards the front upstairs that we just used to shoot in. We didn't use it for stock, didn't use it for anything. And then we could roll the roller door all the way up, and then it was just off this. There's nothing. You could just walk straight off.
You could literally
from the
walk
first
off
story.
it.
And then there was so much gear, and we had all the stuff to pack up. So instead of going down down the stairs, you just throwing shit off.
But it was efficient.
Quicker.
It was efficient, man. But
time is money.
So through that, you guys were the reason I could earn. You guys were the reason I could offer e-com content, just because I didn't know what it was when I first started.
But
you
learned so much. We all did, man.
Yeah, dude. It was insane.
We'd see things that would inspire us and be like, Mash, how
can
we
we
want to
make
do this? You're like, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
For 2 hours and be like,
YouTubing. And how did you figure those things out?
YouTube was the biggest teacher, man. If anyone's wondering where they can learn or how they can start, YouTube is the best foundational start to anything. It doesn't even matter how technical it is. There's something on YouTube for you to learn.
And do you still edit off Adobe?
Yeah, still an Adobe baby. Would wish they'd fix all their bugs immediately. ASAP Rocky, thank you very much. But I can't bring myself to learn a new platform. There's too many buttons, too many shortcuts,
Man,
too much raging. I've raged too much on Premiere to give up this early. Do you know what I mean? But
I remember there would be things as well. We'd be talking and this is the fucking how hard we used to work and how long. We'd be on the phone 1 a.m., 1:30, 2 a.m., fucking multiple times a week, and it was nothing. And I'd be like, okay, Madge, can you send me this video? You're like, yeah, it's done. It just for some reason it won't. There's some stupid thing, and you're like, I'm like, all right,
something's
bro.
not working.
I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
and then I'd wake up the next day. I'd have an email from Madge 4:30. Okay, just finished it out.
I think it worked. Let me know. Check it out.
Yeah.
Don't text me until 12.
Yeah,
dude. I actually miss those times so much, and I even reminisce with Toby, because obviously Toby and I connected in that period as well, And Toby was just a random customer from Flip Out, by the way.
Is that how you met Toby?
Bro,
he became your this kind of second man for the agency.
we just partnered up, and he was at every shoot. He was there. And he puts in the work and he puts in the effort. I love him so much, and we're still working together today, which is incredible.
We were talking about off camera. You were producing these short films for some big creator. Tell me about that.
Yeah, dude, I run into shit all the time because something works for a while, something has to come and ruin it, right? But so I met some dudes overseas. They ran an agency. They essentially managed the biggest influencers you can think of, and I don't know how.
Yeah,
some insider type stuff, I guess. And essentially, they just had a roster of influencers, big ones, big ones. And there was this one ex-NFL player, and he was essentially went from NFL turned preacher, which was awesome. So he found his audience, found his voice, and then I guess he wanted. At the time, or it's still happening at the moment, but if you've got a short film over 3 minutes, you can monetize it, given that you've ticked off X amount of views and followers and whatnot. So, given that
this is on Facebook,
this is on Facebook, just Facebook. So, given that this guy had 5-6
not
million
a lot
views,
of people talk about monetizing video through Facebook like they do YouTube.
Dude, well, I can tell you, if you're looking at starting and you have the opportunity to do it, because even though we weren't earning the money
Yeah.
from the monetization, we could see how much they'd make.
Yeah.
And it's like absolutely anything. It's like Friends, and I hope I'm not wrong, but I read this maybe a few months ago, but Friends still makes up to $1 billion a year in syndication.
Oh, I know.
Through-
I know the actors make like over 20 million.
20
each.
million a year, exactly. So you do the math and it works out. So it's like, what I quickly realized about Facebook and Facebook monetization and creating content for Facebook is you could repost these and generate more money and more money and more money if you have an arsenal of these.
How
So
do you? Yeah. Do you need certain size of like?
it had to be a minimum of 3 minutes so
Yep.
you can hit monetization. And everyone was different. So we created for 2 different people. No, sorry, we created for the one person, but we tried out all these different ideas.
Yeah.
So essentially the context or the concept of these short films where we had to essentially, when you watch it, you go, you know someone's right and you know someone's wrong. Like it's day and night. So it's very obvious cringe stories. Like from a story perspective, wasn't proud, but when we put everything together, the views we were getting was absolutely
How
insane.
many views did you get?
So our first short film that we released ended up landing, probably wrapped up at around 30 million views. It stopped going up after that.
30 million views.
30 million views, thousands of comments, and that video probably made about 30 to 40 grand Aussie. And we made that in a night with people that didn't know how to act per se. Toby was the only decent actor in it. From there, we did another video, probably 700,000 views. Another one got 400. It really depended what you did. Then we did this domestic violence piece at the end to
Yeah.
bring awareness for domestic violence and got like 6 million views, which I was really happy about because I knew that was the last video I was doing with these guys based on our
Yeah.
contract. But from there, I learned so much about, like, I started getting ideas. I was like, all right, let's create something. Let's create 3 different types of short films, deliver on them on a monthly basis, and off you go from there. And like, bro, I was getting, just like Happy Skin Co, I was getting targeted with my own shit because Snoop Dogg liked the video or Floyd Mayweather shared it because that's who they
Really?
managed.
Fuck, that's
yeah, so
cool.
they were imagining like the biggest of the biggest.
Who's posting this? Is it one account? This one guy that posted?
So it'd be one of their social media heads that would be running that page for that influencer.
Oh yeah, so it'd be
you know?
like this guy's account.
Yeah, exactly. And they had probably, it's actually an incredible business model, but they
'Cause I
probably
se-
had like 70 influencers to 100. So think about that.
Oh, so it wasn't always going on the same person's page who's posting it.
For the
Your
majority,
videos.
it did. When they were
Okay.
testing out new clients, they would take our videos and test them, and they'd kill it there too.
So the reach obviously had to be really good content, but these people had like a biggish following.
Massive following. Yeah. Like there were pages that had like less following, but they'd still get pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't the story that was getting the views. It was the story that was getting the views, but it was what the story was about. So a lot of
message,
the time,
right?
you needed to people
Is
to
it
react.
like Jay Shetty? You know how he makes those short films
Like
based on
Darman? Darman's the best example.
no,
It's
no,
in the
no.
same field as Jay Shetty. They
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
much like work with each other quite a lot. But you're
Yeah.
essentially going. The best way I can put to you what these videos were about was watch to the end to find out what happens. Those were the videos. So you'd have like, for example, the one that got 30 million. My brother-in-law, he'd walk in. He's African American, and he's shopping, and then you had this white racist worker bump into him, and then from there you can kind of see where the story goes. And then hero Toby comes out, saves the day, kicks out the white guy. Like it was shit like that. So
Yeah.
you knew it was going to be split in the middle
That's
and
what we've
create
noticed.
a tension.
Bro, that's what we've noticed. If you can, any of our like a lot of our content starting to perform really well now, but one thing, and it's like it's hard to plan for, but like the one thing that makes things blow up more
Yeah,
than
yeah.
anything is if we can get like a controversial topic.
That's it, man. That's all it is. Like even the domestic violence one, because as part of Facebook's guidelines, you can't show
Of
you
course.
can't show it.
Yeah.
But like I pushed my limits to the last frame, bro, and I'd cut it and I'd ample the
Amp to
sound
black
effect.
and
yeah. I'd literally cut to black, I think, and then it would cut to her with a red cheek. So, it was very convincing, and that was within the first 20 seconds. And the way we delivered it was through the perspective of the story had a maid, and the maid was hearing this argument, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
But these things did well, and it gave me a cool taste of, like, viral videos. Like, while it was cool to get 3 million views on a paid Happy Skin Co ad,
Yeah.
it was really cool to experience 30 million views without,
budget,
money, a budget
yeah.
behind it. But the comments, bro, like, a lot of people were like, "Fuck, I'm crying. This was amazing." Yeah, you don't know how legit they are, but the fact that they've gone out their way to say that,
Yeah.
I went, yeah, that's amazing. And like I said, Toby was getting recognized. Toby got recognized in Blacklands. For anyone to know Western Sydney, for someone to recognize Toby from Nowra, who's from Nowra, he's not even from Penrith.
Yeah.
for someone to recognize him in Blaxland, these things were working. They were really getting out there. So I'm super interested in doing it.
So you're interested in doing more of that sort of stuff in the future?
Well, we were in talks of, they had the budget to open up a 15 different set warehouse.
Whoa.
Because I was thinking, how can I maximize these videos? I was relying on the locations I had and the people that were around me. But I was like, if we want to make this, if we want to make $100 million this year, I need to have 18 different sets that I can just start sending film crews in and actors and script. So all I'd be doing is script, actor, attach all those things. Sorry, I said that in such a poor way. I'd organize essentially the pre-production, everything from the filming crew to the actors to the locations. The locations would be ours, which on the other side, you'd be renting them out. So you'd be making money from that too. But they had the budget to build all this for me, and I had the whole operation ready, bro. The aim was to deliver one video a day. So it's 30 short films a month. It was a big operation. It was a big operation. Like, I was asking for some money because I knew they were gonna, try and not spend as much. And anyway, it never went forward. But I know for a fact, if someone came to me and went, "Yo, here's $1 million, let's do it," monetization is the way to go, bro. It's
but
insane.
How would you find people with an audience to share this
I
stuff?
I think for me, I'd want to build my own.
Okay,
so then that way it's hard for me. They can't just kick me out anymore because it's my face.
Yeah.
For example, like what I'm trying to do now is just focus on us and grow us. But
you're talking about Thiqa? Like
I'm talking about, like, if I were to do my own Facebook page, for example, in terms of these videos. Like, if I were to do that and I wanted to control what happens, it would have to be about us, and kind of we'd be the actors and we'd be controlling the narrative. Whereas if we're working for another agency, they can just kick you out anytime and you don't do it anymore. So. But yeah, if you want to make money from it, you have to do it yourself. But you've got to be interesting enough to have a couple of million people follow you.
Fuck, that's cool, man. We'll talk about that more. That's fun.
Dude,
it's fun, bro.
It's interesting, And I've got so many things I want to experience, but I got to go and experience them and come back and tell you how I went.
Man, that's what I realized. The more I have these conversations with people and how they got into business, and there is fucking billion ways you can make money, man.
So many ways.
There are so many ways to make money, and there is a business in everything. And you don't realize that when you're young, when you're in school. Even now I'm still learning how much. But I've always seen these, like, predominantly in America, like there'll be these big rappers or stuff, and they'll be always showing these videos to their pages that has nothing to do with them. And it's millions. Exactly.
So that's who I was working for.
But I know exactly what you're talking about. But I'm always like, obviously, they're fucking managers doing it, and they but I just never knew exactly how it works.
Yeah, like, why is Snoop Dogg posting kitten videos? It makes no sense, and it's not in his lifestyle.
Massive views,
huge views, bro. And that's what I stumbled across, and I'm like, if you're in video production, this is an untapped market, because the only thing missing is us in terms of video guys. So, like, if you've got a big page and you need content, like, yes, the big page is important, but so is the video aspect. So if we can build our own big page, we've completed, like, the trifecta. Like, we control everything.
Do you have a plan of how you would build it? Like, what would be based around?
Well, based on our experience, it was all these different short films, but I don't want to be pushing... First of all, I don't want to be pushing agendas that don't need to be pushed. I don't want to be pushing racial agendas that don't need to be spoken about if it's not going to bring a better light to it, And I think I quickly realized early on, it's like, am I dividing? And that's a thing that you have to think about as a creative. Like, is my work going to divide? Which, as you said, could be good, could be bad. But in this circumstance, I wrote that first video up because I knew it was going to divide, But that's what storytelling is, isn't it?
But the thing is, you say that, like, oh, do I want to create division? But the thing is, like, what I realized, and I was honestly shocked. I've said this to a lot of people. Like, one of the videos, one of the clips we posted that went viral is of Ahmed. His name's Ahmed Imam. He's fucking incredibly successful. But anyway, the story essentially was he was in sales, pretty decent, high up in sales, sent his resume to like 20, 30 recruiters, heard nothing back, and this was becoming like a similar thing. And he's fully qualified for these things. Like, he's had a successful career. And then he's talking to his mates one day. This is like, I don't know how many years ago though. And they say, what if it's your name? So he changed his name from Ahmed Imam to Adam Smith. Sent it to the exact same people a few days later. Got 4 callbacks the next day.
That's insane.
So that's essentially the video. I was surprised by, again, I would say 75% of the comments, 75% of comments, like, that's disgusting. I can't believe that still happens. And that's what I was expecting. But that 20, 30%, that were commenting saying, "Oh, what do you expect? It's called assimilation."
Yeah,
And I was going on and having all these
wow.
conversations, and like Ahmed was not complaining about it. It was just the story, because that's the piece of content that made him go viral. And like I was shocked by the amount of people that would openly say, "Oh, just get over it." Like, yeah, what do you expect if it happened in another country?
Yeah.
My perspective was that, like, yeah, it can happen in any country, but we should be trying to do better. Like, you know what I mean? We should be trying to do better. But I didn't enjoy putting that piece of content out to get people say that that's horrible.
Yeah, that wasn't your reasoning behind
or
posting
to get
that.
people to, say, "Oh, that's bullshit. Who cares?" What's the most interesting thing? And you're talking about, oh, what purpose is it serving? It's what the impact I'm really interested in is the people. It wasn't about racism. It's about unconscious bias.
Right.
What I'm interested in is the people that will listen to that video, and they're most likely not the ones commenting.
Sure.
They're the ones that listen to the video and say, am I maybe doing this in my life and I don't unintentionally?
Yeah.
So creating that thought and provoking that thought that leads to the awareness, that's the first step. Conversation needs to happen before change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not a bad thing, man.
Yeah, I actually did see that video, and when he said that he changed it to Adam Smith and he got called back, I was like, God damn, that's very, very interesting. It's like, but it's even me. I've always thought of my stage name, my name, Majdi Slaby, not hard to pronounce, but not the easiest to pronounce if you're hearing it off the bat. And I've always thought to myself, if I get to a stage where I kind of have to have somewhat of a stage name, do I keep it authentic to myself? But it's like even people calling me Maj. Do I let them call me Maj? Do I kind of put them in line and go, my name is Majdi? Yeah. It's it trickles down to that spot as well. But when you grow up with that, like for me, everyone's always called me Maj. So I don't think like if someone says Majdi, it's not like this, oh my God, they called me Maj. Like it's just, I recognize both. But yeah, that's very interesting that he did that and he got the callbacks. That's insane. Yeah. That's incredible.
But what blew me away was so many people had similar stories, Yeah.
I haven't ran into anything like that just yet, I guess. But
well, hopefully we don't. And like hopefully the goal is it becomes less and less common, right?
Exactly. You don't see it as often.
But if you do need a stage name, I reckon, what about Magic Mike?
Magic Mike. Yeah, well, shit. As long as I look like those bodies underneath, bro, I've got to. That's another thing. Like, how do you? Through all your work, if we have enough time, through all your like.
Mate, we have as much time as we want, but we will start to wrap up soon.
Yeah. You got Happy Skin Co. You've got the podcast. You were running. Oh, you ran. Are you still running?
Yeah, still running.
I remember you did something massive once. It was not too long ago. It was like a year ago. But anyway, how do you find the time to stay fit? You're a business owner. You're busy. How you stay motivated? How do you stay fit?
For me,
I'm asking for me.
Yeah. Well, there's many different answers. I'll tell you the truthful answer for me is that sport and fitness has always become part of my life. So it's like, it's so easy. It's like, I really crave it. I want to do it. I look forward to do it. So like, I get a lot of positive releases when I exercise, whether it be martial arts or running. Yep. And I had stopped running for a bit going into mid this year. And then because I'm so busy, obviously it's hard to do everything. But then what I'll do is I'll sign up for these like actual events and races.
Cool. Keeps you accountable.
That pre-commitment keeps me accountable because I know I'm running this distance at this point. Awesome. I don't only want to be able to run the distance. What type of person I'm like, I want to be able to do it in as fast a time as possible. Sure. So having these things that I'm training for, but I've kind of felt out of doing it a bit because I'm so busy and it's easy to have that excuse. Yeah. But because now I'm doing like a half marathon, which is 21.1 Ks in September.
Sick.
It's less than 2 months away. I just started training for it properly, but then you force yourself to do these runs and they don't, like you do it, you don't necessarily enjoy it, but afterwards you feel good.
Oh, it's always the afterwards.
But I had a long run on the weekend. I ran not that long, but long for me recently. Like I did like a 12K run and I remembered why I loved running so much. Like awesome. When you're running, it was the weekend, it was sunny. Bro, the runner's high that you can get when you're just out there, you're by yourself, there's no one around and you're just running and it's just you and your thoughts and you're just processing stuff and then you just like it's kind of hard on your body the first couple Ks and then you settle into your rhythm.
You go into like autopilot
mode.
And
you just feel bliss and I realized that's why I fucking love it.
That's why I love it. Yeah, that's incredible, bro. Do you remember that period where Maurice and I did it at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, you were doing up and down that bridge run as well for ages. I remember you saying that.
Like if I can, I'm just, for me, like inspiration comes and goes, right? Like, and if it's gone, it takes me a bit to pick it back up. But once it's picked up, I have to action something on it. Yeah. But dude, we were up at 4 running. I mean, that's not my lifestyle at all, waking up that early, but we did it for like a month. And running then quickly transitioned into running and then a full gym session. it just became like second nature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but and that was literally right when I created Thiqa as well. So it was a lot going on. But yeah, man, it's been an insane experience.
Well, with that as well, I guess the lesson is like pre-commitment and telling people. Like I've told like a bunch of people I'm going to do this run. Everyone's like, oh, you're still doing that run? I'm like,
yeah.
I guess I am.
What run is it, by the way?
It's called like the Blackmoors Sydney Run.
Oh, the Blackmoors one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. They have like a marathon, half marathon, like a bridge run, which is like 10Ks.
Yep. I might have to join you on that one.
Do it, man. Many people has. Joe, are you going to still do it? See, look at him trying to back out now. Joe said he's doing it. My mate from martial arts is doing it. His mate, like plenty of people are doing it.
We will do it.
We'll do it
Let's
together.
do it together. Can it be the first live podcast where we
well, that's the thing. We're meant to come out and record some training sessions. Which
could be pretty gangster.
Yeah. You know what we're going to do?
What?
You, if you can't figure it out, I'll get Maj.
What?
Because obviously we need like a gimbal because I'm going to be running.
Yeah,
you know those skateboards? That
you mean the drift board? Why don't I just get the drift board? Follow you on the drift
board?
board.
It's like what you used to have? Bro, he's the best on a fucking one of those.
You know the drift boards, right?
Those
two-wheel thingy.
Oh, this guy whipper like
love that shit, bro.
So we're gonna do that.
That would look cinematic as fuck.
It will. Like who's some of the Nick Bear does some really cool stuff like that, and like we could do it, be running.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Fucking make kind of like.
When is it?
moody.
September?
Yeah, and then just talk like do some fucking.
That could be really cool. Oh, is that the alarm? Is that us?
We had Joe's alarm go off in the middle of last podcast.
Oh no.
We'll start wrapping up.
Sure thing, man.
Which is fuck. I've got stuff to do apparently with that alarm.
Busy.
But so like, let's do one last question, then start to wrap up. If you had one piece of advice to give to like 17-year-old Majdi when you're leaving school, knowing all what you know now and kind of what you lived, what do you think that piece of advice would be?
The piece of advice I'd give to my 17-year-old self would be to slow down a little, and like think before making a decision, but ultimately enjoying it, because when I think back to when I started at Flip Out, it's almost 10 years. A decade has gone by, and it's a bit weird to say that out loud, but I know another decade's coming. Yeah. And if I'm sitting here waiting for the right time to do anything, I would say patience is an incredibly important thing to have, but just enjoy the fuck out of it. Can I say fuck? I've been saying it all day.
I've said it 20 times.
Just enjoy it, because there's going to be so many ups and downs, whether you like it or whether you don't.
That's the thing, right?
It's just going to happen, and you need to ride it, and you need to let it happen. And you do some hardcore drugs on the weekend. You know, you really need to. No, I'm joking. We won't do that. But yeah, man, that's what I would leave everyone that's listening with, to just enjoy it. Enjoy it, because it's not going to last long.
That's right, man. And like how fast all the years are going by, you realize the older you get, all those cliches they tell you in school is quite often correct. Like
so correct.
The biggest thing I've learned, and it's the biggest lesson they try and tell you, and it's so bullshit when you're in school, but it's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, it's 100%. You know, and as oversaid as that is, it is it.
And it only becomes more true the older and wiser you get.
Yeah, because you experience all that stuff.
Because you realize, okay, you're always waiting for that milestone, then I'll be happy for that 1 second, that one night, that one.
Yep.
Bro, like.
Don't wait.
These milestone moments make up 0.00001 of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're just living for these mini moments, okay, we just hit $1 million. Let's celebrate for tonight. And then tomorrow, how do we make 2 million?
Yeah.
You're fucking going to be unhappy, man.
Yeah, bro. And I've been in that situation so many times where it's just been work. Yeah. Like, who works at a trampoline park and doesn't have fun, right? Like, that's dumb. But it happens. And if I could go back in time, I would say, dude, slow down, because there's so much coming at you, bro. Calm down. Just take it like day by day and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, Majdi Slavey, it's been a fucking pleasure having you in. That's his full name.
Come here, my man.
And we'll link you, have all your links and everything.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to find more information?
They can find me on Instagram at Majdi Slavey, or my business at Thiqa Media AU, because Thiqa Media was taken apparently. And otherwise, I'm sure we can start hanging about a bit more, getting up to our usual dumb selves.
And that's the thing, if we look at how fast time goes, bro, we used to talk 4 or 5 days a week on the phone.
Yep.
And now, not at any fault of anyone's, and we don't hold it against each other at all. We've hardly seen each other for 2 years, bro.
Dude, literally.
Because we're that busy.
Yeah, it happens. But you know what? The beautiful thing is, I remember you saying it on your podcast, you want to surround yourself with 5 people that you kind of want to be like, right? Yeah. And I'd say you're 100% one of them, because although 2 years has gone by, it feels like a weekend went by.
Yeah,
legitimately does not feel like 2 years has gone by. Like, it feels like we walked into your apartment the other day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's what we were saying as well. I've been in this place bought this place like just over 2 years ago. Maj was the first person into my house.
I was.
Filmed me opening the door for like the first time. Like,
Did we do it twice too? Because the first one didn't look as good.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some reason for whatever. Anyway.
It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Dylan Mullan, I love you.
Thank you, Maj. I love you too. All right, there we go. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, could you please do me a quick favor and hit the follow or subscribe button? I honestly appreciate it more than you know. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.